Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Chatting with myself, Dan. I've got a special guest today. I've got Adam O'Neill. Our conversation is a catalyst because I did a post in the group about a week ago in terms of content marketing to your own clients, right? And what do brokers actually want to learn about? Based on the responses, we're doing that chat today. But Adam, thanks for joining me, mate. How are you in Sydney?
Good. Happy Friday, Dean. We seem to be in that final scramble leading up to Christmas, but thanks for carving out the time, and I'm happy always to talk about digital marketing. So this should be fun.
That's awesome. All right, so just a quick intro to the audience as to your background, so that basically when people know why they should actually listen to you, right? Can you give us a quick 2-minute spiel in terms of what you've done?
Yeah, sure. So most of my career I've spent with media and marketing agencies. I've been pretty lucky to be able to live and travel and work around the world, but back in Australia, I spent a lot of time recently working with Westpac Bank and across the group. So we managed their ad spend throughout Australia. They spend about 80 mil a year on advertising. We had a team of 30 people that reported into me, and we looked after everything from TV, outdoor, digital, search, social, you name it, we did it. So it's been a lot of fun. And about 4 years ago, I branched out and started Asia Advisory as a digital consultancy, because I saw a lot of small businesses really struggling to attract more customers. And I think digital marketing is probably one of the most effective ways to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as we're looking into where we are, I mean, you can't ignore it, right? And you got to learn how to do it, to be honest. So quickly going, I suppose you can call it a rough talk, a timeline in terms of what we're doing today. We're going to talk about understanding content marketing, why it's essential to your marketing funnel, why it's going to benefit your business as a broker, how to identify the potential clients, and lastly is to actually create a content calendar to nurture them, right? Because I think a lot of people, myself included, we're super busy. We're always thinking, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and we miss it, and then we sit back. Sometimes we're going, well, why aren't we getting any leads, or why aren't we getting hits on our websites and so forth, right? So let's start with the first week. If you don't mind, we're going to jump into it. So understanding why content marketing is an essential part of the marketing funnel.
Yeah, I think, and this is a really good question, because I've sort of experienced this as a business as well as advised clients on it. But content marketing is something that you can do in the early stages of attracting customers, because it doesn't cost you a lot of money. It can be tough running a small business when 99% of your time is working with clients and just trying to keep the wheels on of delivering the work. Marketing is often an afterthought and something that you don't have a lot of time to think about. But content marketing is really an entry-level way to get in to build trust, build familiarity with your clients, and start to really establish that relationship.
Awesome. So I guess that's how do I put it? Should we jump into, like, for the average broker then? Because how do I put it? There's plenty of content on the web, right? So you could pick that up, because I think a lot of people go, oh, I need to do it myself. But
true.
Is it wise to just jump on the web, just get some catchphrases, and then plug into your own social straight away, or anything like that?
Well, I think if I can just show you a slide as well, I think content marketing has a bit of a bad reputation. I think with the rise of influencers, and obviously digital marketing has proliferated over the last 10 years. There's a lot of kind of negative connotations about content marketing. People think that they need to do first person to camera, updates. It has to be perfectly curated pictures and videos. I kind of encourage clients to step away from that temptation and to not feel that everything has to be perfectly curated and it has to be like an influencer. I think people have very highly developed BS detectors these days, and you don't need you don't need to have a perfectly curated channel. It's more about just being genuine and telling people about what you do, talking about your services, showing testimonials about clients that you've helped, and that's what it's really about. It's just about building trust and familiarity more than anything else. So try to put all the preconceptions you have about content marketing and influencers to one side, and think about this as a way to build trust and familiarity with your clients.
Absolutely. And what about time to market in a sense? Because we just had the RBA announcement, so forth. Um, we then, is it wise for a broker to jump on straight away and mass send emails and so forth about the movements, or similar to just take a seat back? It's not really that important, but it is important to be relevant though.
Yeah, 100%. I guess you have to, just like you were saying before, take into consideration that there's going to be a lot of noise in the market, particularly around those RBA announcements. So unless you've got something unique or distinctive to say, it might be better just to hold back and see how it pans out. The best application of using like a big announcement like that is to try and put your spin on it. Something along the lines of, that we've had like 5 successive interest rate increases, but we've helped this client be able to develop, to renegotiate and reevaluate their offset account, and it's saved them, X amount of dollars. If you can spin it into a customer testimonial, or you can spin it into an example of how you've taken that current market situation and being able to use it to help a customer or help a client, I think that's more relevant than just doing another sort of black and white post about the RBA increase. Everyone's seen it. They would have seen it on the TV. They would have seen it on mainstream news. They're probably reading it in the financial press, just like we all are. Unless you've got something unique to add and put your own spin or your own flavor on that, and usually a customer testimonial is a good way to do that, then I'd probably sort of step back. But don't just repost the news. It's not really interesting for anyone.
Awesome. All right. So obviously we know what the benefits are to your own business. So let's get into how to identify potential clients. Would that be good or?
Yeah, so this is a good one. So the temptation, I think, for a lot of people when they're starting out with content marketing is to just jump in and expect to have a result like overnight. Um, take an example. So say you were looking, for a new accountant, right? Um, and you decided that I need a new accountant. My current accountant's going on holidays, or they're retiring, or whatever. Um, would you really give your tax returns to an accountant that you didn't know? Possibly not. So think about the actions that you would take if you're looking for a new accountant. Maybe you'll talk to some friends about it. Maybe you'll have a search through Google, have a look online. Maybe you may even ask your accountant for a recommendation. You might talk to your family. Just consider that there's so many different touch points that we've got available to us when we're trying to make that decision and to select that new partner. So I would really try to be open and look at it from the customer's perspective about how you're trying to find that information. And if you know that there's challenges and speed bumps and brick walls that you hit along the journey, then you can use that as a way to develop some of your content for your calendar.
Okay, awesome. So just letting you know, I've just been told that there's yeah. Sorry, that it's moving now with your video. Just there was a bit where it was sort of like lagging out. Apologies about that. Okay,
Yes.
so yep. So
So
basically,
coming back to the funnel as well. You sort of asked like, what's the best way to build a funnel? Do you want me to sort of spend a second on that?
absolutely. Yep. Do you want me to? Yep. So you got this share screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
you guys have probably heard about marketing funnels before, and it's really about like reaching a pool of customers, a broader pool of target audience customers at the top of the funnel, and trying to nurture them through that journey. So, like I was saying before, you can't just put out a couple of posts and then think I'm going to get a new client lead, or someone's going to react to it straight away. It's something that you have to do consistently over time. And you kind of got to take people through that journey. So leading off that accountant example, Just because just because I've seen an accountant's website, or I've heard about them from a friend, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to release my financial information to them straight away. So you've kind of got to take customers on a bit of that journey. What can you do in the top stages? And this is where content marketing is good, because it's effectively just a return on the time that you invest in creating those posts and those articles. So how can I get their attention? Maybe I'll talk about things like what are the three questions you should ask your broker when trying to review who's right for you. That'll get their attention and possibly start to generate some interest. Then you might look at doing maybe some FAQs. So what are the common challenges or common questions that people come to you with when they're just starting their journey with you? And that can start to, again, that starts to build trust, and it starts to build a little bit of familiarity, and they get to know you as a person. And then the last thing is really what are you asking them to do? Like once they've read your article or they've looked at your post, are you keen with just a like, or you're happy with a comment, or do you actually want them to share it with a friend, or do you want them to drop you an email, or do you want them to sign up for your newsletter? Try to keep that in mind. So you're always moving the customer through to the next stage of the journey. It's not sort of they see an ad or they see a piece of content and they're immediately going to become a customer. You've got to try to take them on that journey, and that takes a bit of time.
Okay, awesome. So how do I put it? Say this is if you're brand new, this is your first year in business, or potentially your first couple of months. All this is interesting and so forth. But you're busy running. You're trying to get clients and do deals through the
Yeah,
door, right? This is all nice,
yeah,
and is there like a better
a
way
cheap
to
way.
start? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, it depends on how set up you are and how established the business is. But if you've got a website and you've already got some social channels, there's some pretty cool things you can do. So if I just kind of jump onto the slides again. So
Hmm.
what if I told you that you could focus on people who are already looking at you or already consuming some of your content? And there's a couple of really easy sources that you can refer back to. So, and they don't even need to like kind of necessarily fill in a form or subscribe to your newsletter. If we're looking at what they're doing through our social channels and we're looking at their website behavior, we can tell stuff like what demographics they are, so their age, their gender, what sort of life stage are they at, what location are they coming from, because that's all coming back to their IP address. We can start to understand their needs by the type of content that they're viewing. So you might look at which pages on your website that they're looking at, which posts are they interacting with more or less. And you start to get like a bit of a better feel about their behaviors and interests. So we can build a picture of who your kind of prospects or current customers are without even asking them to do anything, because it's just based on what they're doing on your website and what they're doing with your social media posts. So
So
I've got
what?
it.
So I was just
Hmm.
going to jump in. This is probably why you probably need to spend good money with Google Analytics, right?
Yeah, well, Google Analytics is actually a free service. So you just plug in a little number into your website, and it'll give you access to all of this information about who your customers are and what they're doing on those pages. So it's not going to cost you anything. It's just a little bit of a time to set it up. But yeah, it's really easy.
My bad, because I'm being a little bit of an Asian here. I was trying to be cheap, and I didn't realize. Yeah. All right, continue, please.
So just to give you a screenshot or an example of what you might be able to tell from people that are on your website, so you can see which country they're coming from, which city, right down to the postcode level. This is just a summary report, but I can dig into this information, and this is pulled in real time. So as soon as someone jumps on, automatically it's pulling through their IP address and what Google knows about them, and so they don't necessarily have to type anything in. We could also start to look at their interests. So for example, with this client, a lot of their clients are interested in food and dining. They're value shoppers. I can pull some of these traits down and dig into them into further detail. Just down here, I can see their age. So it looks like most of the website visitors are between 25 to 34. Got slightly over representation from females. So roughly 60% of them are females. And then this is a really interesting one too, about how they're actually accessing your website. So are they coming from a laptop, or are they coming from a mobile or a tablet? And the types of things that this might inform is the creative that you use, and the size of the fonts, and the text, or the length of the form. Because someone consuming on a mobile has obviously got a smaller screen. They're spending less, they've got less real estate to play with. And the other chance is they're between meetings, or they're commuting to work, or they're doing something else. So you've got to get their attention super quickly. So these basic things are all easily identifiable from looking at your website analytics.
Yep. And sometimes just looking at this is can consume a lot of your time too, which is pretty cool, because I sometimes I look at the analytics on Facebook and it's just amazing, right? So
Yeah.
okay, so yep. So once you identify a potential client or your clients, in terms of what would you say is a cheap way to do things?
So then it's a case of kind of putting yourself in their shoes. So a good way, particularly for social, is to kind of test and learn. So what we do with most of our clients are using Meta Business Suite. So that'll cover Facebook and Instagram. And you can pull up this insights report, and it'll basically show you each of your posts, when it was published, how many people saw it, how many people reacted or liked it, commented on it, or shared it. And this is a really good way to kind of test and learn what content people are interested in. And taking this to the next level, and to sort of answer your question, Deanne, you can start to see themes emerging. So people will more likely interact with content that's going to give them some sort of value, or it's giving them interest, right? So things like testimonials, things like frequently asked questions, things like you talking about how you've been able to save your clients money, or recent case studies. They're really powerful ways to start to put a calendar together.
Okay. So I guess that leads on to my next one. A question for you, right? Well, so we identify, we look at the data to identify, then we try to, I suppose, test different types of marketing posts to get people's attentions to do something, right? Obviously, part of there is a call to action, which is we want them to click. We want them to what do you call it?
Take the next action, or
Take the
yeah,
next
just do.
action so that we can contact them.
Mm,
Yeah. So I think with most businesses, one of the things that businesses are afraid of is, if we ask for too much at the very beginning, people won't respond. But if we ask for too little, then there is too much stuff that we are missing out on. That, I suppose you call it work at the end. Is this a real lead, or is this someone from Vietnam just clicking it for shits and giggles, and then it's wasting my time, basically.
mm.
You got any sort of, I suppose, suggestions in terms of what, say an average broker website should ask for?
Yeah, I just put some qualifying criteria on there, like the best way to to identify like tire kickers versus people that are genuine prospects or genuine leads is just to have like 3 qualifying questions. Do you, or like something, just thinking off the top of my head, do you already own a property? Um, or if are you a first home buyer? What's the time parameter that you're looking at for your next purchase? Is it 3, 6, 9, 12 months? And that might be able to, you might be able to use that to help qualify and just figure out whether they're serious, or whether they're just in the early stages. You could also ask them other questions. Have they worked with a broker before? Are they working? Do they have an accountant? This is just going to make your job easier when it comes to onboarding those customers, and making sure that they're ready to actually have the conversation with you, rather than just sort of testing the waters and wasting your time. And I think those qualifying questions can probably happen either in through a different format. So it doesn't have to be in person. It doesn't have to be in email. Like take your message or take your conversations to the place where the client wants to discuss it. So if it happens over Messenger, or if it happens over WhatsApp, or if it happens through the chatbot, the chat dialogue box on your website, then do it there. Don't It doesn't have to be in formal channels, you know. I remember, like, probably a bad example, but I was going through an application with a broker who was working directly with one of the banks. And it was kind of like, in the end, I walked away from it because it was 1,000 cuts. It was death by 1,000 cuts. So he didn't just ask me for all the information at the start. He asked me for everything that they needed. I did all the due diligence paperwork and, filled in his forms and everything. I sent him copies of pay slips. I sent him copies of savings and bank accounts and all that stuff. And over the period of the next 2 or 3 weeks, he just kept sending me emails like every day. And for me, that wasn't a good thing because I was already getting smashed with emails from work. I don't want to have to filter through and try and look for the broker's questions, on top of my work stuff. If he just dropped me a WhatsApp message and said, "Hey, I got this, this, and this, but I didn't get this," I could reply back and say, "Sweet, I'll send it to you after work, and we should be able to get on to the next step." But yeah, just trying to figure out which way and which kind of platform to communicate with customers is also something to take into consideration.
And that's a really good one because obviously most brokers and their CRM system allows for automation in terms of messaging, so that to keep the client warm, right? But unfortunately, sometimes it actually pisses the client off. So it's
Mm,
it's 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 real neat that what you just said, a quick, sweet, sharp message in terms of a text or WhatsApp or whatever, it's quite effective. The other thing I think I was going to ask you, because as the leads come through, we get so much data, as you just shown before, geolocation. Where did that click come
mm.
from, and so forth. Is there something that a broker can actually do? Because I'm obviously, if the lead's coming through, you're sitting in Sydney, but it's geolocated or pinged from somewhere in, say, Bangladesh. Um, you know, VPNs aside, is it something that can be looked at, and that basically, I'm going to probably say, if it came from Bangladesh and I'm in Sydney as a broker, I'd probably say that's a shit lead or a fake lead.
Yeah, and that's actually, that's a really timely example because I've got that with another client at the moment. So we've been testing different types of acquisition, right? And we work with a telemarketing company to basically buy leads for us. And we found this has been going on for about 3 or 4 months. So I can safely say that we've taken on board the learnings and we've made our decision not to progress with that. But we're paying a call center to generate leads. They were giving us names, email addresses, and physical locations of these potential clients. It was great. We got a heap of leads. We got some one-off. We got some one-off business. But what we found is the loyalty of those customers and the quality of those leads was actually really poor. So I guess the learning out of that is, don't think that the best way to buy prospects or leads is to work with a, a, um, a telefundraising agency or someone to actually go and call those leads. You have to really take time to look at the quality, nurture those relationships. And I think that there isn't really a quick, simple answer. It's not, do ads and you get leads, do social media and you get leads, use telemarketing and you get leads. It's kind of a combination of what works best for you and what works best for your client. So we find that content management and just using posts on LinkedIn and using posts on other social media is just a good way to build trust. And even if they aren't the direct customer, chances are someone in that network might be. And it's those second and third level referrals that usually lead to the best quality contacts. So yeah, so don't just rely on one method, but be open to try a few different things.
I love the word that you use, which is nurture, because I think a lot of people forget that. We're in a situation where many lenders are offering cashback, right? And that's just, you're not going to have client loyalty when you have lots of that flying around. There's one mortgage manager actually offering up to $10,000 as a cashback on a $2 million loan, right? That's going to pick a lot of leads, but how much of that is actually good? is another thing. But at the same time, that also filters into your own as a broker. You're going to get all these leads asking, "Can I get the 10,000?" And no, you can't. So that's something that obviously needs to be worked on. I think
Mm,
I just want to. I'm being mindful on time as well. You talk about nurture, which means the last one we want to talk about is the calendar, the content calendar. How
yeah.
would the average Joe create something that's very basic?
Yeah, sure. I think the first thing to probably do is like create an ideal customer, like in a real world. Like we won't do this now because I think we're probably a bit short on time. But
Mm.
if you had a blank sheet of paper and you could create an ideal customer for your business, then just go through and ask yourself some basic questions like who are they, what life stage are they at, where are they living and working, um, what device might they be consuming your content on, what are some of the questions or challenges that they often ask you. And if you can just spend maybe 15, 20 minutes going through and addressing some of these questions, you can get a really simple idea of what you could pull together for your content calendar. So by just sort of asking these questions, you're understanding the roadblocks, you're understanding their needs, you're addressing questions that they're going to ask you, but you're kind of automating the process in a way by doing a social media post on it. Then you can share that with clients that ask you in the future. So you're not always having to take calls or emails, putting these repetitive responses out. You can send them off to that post or send them off to that article or the newsletter that you wrote or that piece of content that was related to that question. So 15 minutes of putting yourself in the customer's shoes and asking where they're at and what's worrying them and what they're looking for can save you a lot of time in the future, but it also gives you that base form of content that you can start sharing and publishing.
Absolutely. And obviously, we're coming into Christmas here. So everyone's going to be crazy busy up until Christmas. You're going to have your break. And then after that, it's actually probably the best time to set some sort of calendar up, right? Or do some planning.
Yeah, well,
Because, yeah.
well, one of the other clients I work with uses as a good way to backfill time. So yes, we're going to have peak periods, and right now it's crazy leading into Christmas because everyone wants everything done yesterday. But when you've got a quieter period like January, when people are on holidays or people are starting to just kind of recover and look at their bank balances again after spending in excesses over Christmas and New Year, that's a great time to be working on your content calendar and to be thinking about the year ahead. Reflect on some of the questions that you got asked by clients last year and use that to inform your posts and your calendar coming up.
Absolutely. So I'm looking again at the time that we have. So for the audience that's either watching now or watching it later on, because we'll be leaving this on the group anyway. Um, it what could they do next? I mean, I'd love for them to have a chat to you, obviously, if they're
Yep.
in that market as well.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, having a website by itself is it's pretty silly. Most people would actually just have a website but not change the content on it. Simply thinking that's their shop front. I have to have a website because I'm in business now.
Yep.
But yeah, but obviously a lot of people need help. So
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Well, in terms of next actions, put some time aside over the holidays to go and answer some of those questions. And then the next thing you could do is actually try and back it up with evidence. So if you do have a website, then have a look at your website analytics, see if it justifies the customers that you think that you're getting. You might find that where people are coming from, and particularly if it's through online, might be more national. It might not just be your local area. It could be interstate, or it could be from people in other parts of Australia. Also, I'd encourage you to have a look at your Facebook and Instagram business and media insights. So if you have done any posts before, go and see what worked well, what got the most engagement, what got the most comments and shares. Again, that'll give you an idea of what people are looking for. And when it comes to thinking about your customers and planning out their needs and how you can service them better, talk to your other brokers. Like actually have a think about this as a team. involve your support staff, involve anyone who actually has any interaction with your clients. But start to ask that what questions are they hearing from clients? What's the things that they're really tired of talking about that they get asked, day in, day out? Turn that into a piece of content, and you can automate it. You can send people off to that, or you can flick them a link, or send them a quick email with the thing attached. It'll save you time in the long run. So yeah, anybody that touches a client or has client interfacing roles within your business, then they can be an asset for really brainstorming and curating this content calendar together.
That's awesome. So can I have the slides later on that I'll put into the group?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's not a problem. And I've also got towards the end there, I've got a quick QR code and a email address and phone number. So if you are looking for a quick template, I've got an Excel template that I use as a basic content calendar that asks some of those questions, and it can you can use it as a bit of a note-taking device for jotting down ideas. And I'm happy to share that and send it over.
Can we have that QR code now to so I can put it on, and then wait, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there, there
So
we go.
what was the slide before that, mate? That
Oh,
was
that was you like this
we
one
just
for
yeah,
questions
yeah,
and discussion.
yeah.
So I'm just mindful that we haven't actually taken any questions. So if we do have time to carve out for that as well.
No questions on the chat, but that's okay. So there is the QR code there for you guys to have a look at. I'll get the slides off Adam, and I will repost it into the group for you guys. It'll be sitting in the file section as well, so I'll link it up to the video. Okay. Um, but mate, thank you so much for your time. Unless no one's gonna comment, ask any questions, we'll call it a day. But thank you.
Yeah,
Love to get you to come back sometime next year as well, because obviously, I think what's going to happen is that, lack of a better word, we're looking at uncertain waters. Given that, while all the rates are going up now and into next year, there is a big portion of the mortgage holders who have a fixed portion of their loans, though they probably don't actually realize how bad it is yet, or because until it goes off, right? And that's due to most of it is due to come off anywhere between March to the end of next year. So we're going to come off historically low rates into something that's like double, if not triple, what they were on previously. I think it is going to be a really crucial that brokers be in touch with their clients and actually have content ready to not only just to obviously to get them to work with you, but to reassure the customers. Okay.
yeah.
Um,
It's a good time for doing a bit of cleanup, I guess, and a bit of housekeeping early in the new year. So looking at your client lists, updating their email addresses, making sure you've got their contact details, even asking them to follow you on socials. And it's early in the new year when it's not as busy, and then coming into this rate environment where we are, it's just a good opportunity to do a bit of housekeeping.
Absolutely. Adam, again, thank you so much for your time. And I'll get the slides off you shortly, and then I'll repost it. Okay. Um, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it.
No worries.